Well, the storm.
Good morning, everyone.
More on that.
This is the call to order for the Buncombe County Planning Board on July the 21st, 2025, and we're glad to have you with us. And we'll begin with a few announcements. We have one public comment period today, which is our general comment period after the approval of the minutes. And if you, I'm not sure there's anybody here wishing to speak. Okay, thank you, Drew. All right, so we'll dispense with all of that. And now we'll go to announcements from the staff, if there are any. And did you want to update everybody about the room?
Just to update, we're still working on the new boardroom. The boardroom itself is complete, but they're having to figure out the technology that goes in it, and so that's taking a little longer than we had hoped. So we will be in the Ghost Permit building for a little longer.
Okay, very good.
Parking is great here.
All right. So now I guess we'll have the roll call of board members.
I think for this, I'm okay if you just say your name so Mike can sign off.
Jay Marino.
Ken Con.
Nancy Waldrop.
Carl Kuhn.
Eric Robbins.
That's good. Okay. And now we need to approve the agenda.
Move to approve is written. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And we've approved the agenda, and now we need to approve the minutes from the June 16th, 2025 meeting.
Move to approve the meeting notes.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And,
9.
the meetings are good. The minutes are good, rather. And now we can, well, we don't have a general comment period because there's no one here to comment. So we can move right into the presentation. ZPH 2025-00023, which is the donut hole areas 1 and 2 initial zonings.
And we're
Staff.
gonna change it a little bit, and we're just gonna tell you about our remaining areas in the county that are unzoned, and how we're proceeding. And we should bring you that first donut hole rezoning. We think in August or September. We want to contact the property owners and meet with them if they want to meet with us and discuss it with them. But just to go into it, so when we did countywide zoning initially in 2009, and I think Jay and Carl, were you on the board when we did the initial?
We went off in 08.
Oh, wait, okay.
At least I did.
So in the initial zoning in 2009, it included areas that could not be zoned due to the number of parcels, the size, and where they were located in relation to municipality limits. And this was per North Carolina general statute at the time. And so it created what the planners have always called donut holes in our zoning layer. And you can see them. And we took care of one of them when the state statute changed. And then we had another one that's between Woodfin and Asheville in Emma that's quite large that didn't get fixed. So we are trying to complete that countywide zoning now by closing those donut holes. We also have had 2 so far de-annexations. So we have a satellite annexation on Charlotte Highway, and then we have an annexation down in Royal Pines off of Sweeten Creek that were de-annexed from the city and are now currently not zoned in the county. So those have to be zoned. We also had some of our county boundaries resurveyed, and agreements between us and the adjacent counties to define where exactly those county boundaries were. We all know in the mountains it's very hard to survey, and these county boundaries were drawn a long, long time ago. So those were resurveyed, and it created some more little spots of unzoned property.
Did you gain land? Did we gain land or lose land? Or
We gained land. I
is
think
that
we
why it's unzoned?
gained land and lost some land when they did them.
It is kind of Trying to be good. It's kind of a hodgepodge where, but a lot of it depends on the agreement with the other entity, whether that be Henderson County, Madison County, or McDowell County, or Haywood County.
I don't think we have any spots
don't.
along Haywood County's boundary that need to
Right.
be initially zoned, but those county boundaries did change a little and are more up to date because they used existing
Mhm.
modern surveying techniques.
But those affect a lot of things. Not only do they affect the planning and zoning, but they affect, possibly, where people are registered to vote and who their representatives are. So it's kind of a case by case matter, and it takes a while to make sure everybody is on the same page. But it does eventually get taken care of.
Mhm.
The de-annexations, were those a result of ETJ or were those satellite annexations
I
that?
think they were both satellite annexations, but just to let you know, in order to be de-annexed from the city, you have to petition the state and the General Assembly, and that's what happened. Do you know any other information about the de-annexations?
No, usually the de-annexations are done based on a local act
Mhm.
put through by the North Carolina General Assembly. And that's happened in multiple times or multiple places in the county.
So the one on Charlotte Highway, it was originally, they wanted to sell alcohol by the drink. And I think, I'm not sure if there is a restaurant there or there's not a restaurant, but they asked the General Assembly to de-annex that.
But that's usually when you would get a satellite annexation from the city side, is when somebody wants to serve liquor by the drink. That's usually the main motivator, shall we say, in somebody getting annexed into the city.
We had that going on in Woodfin last year, although it was not related to that. It just, a group of people who had been annexed wanted to be de-annexed. And it becomes a political thing where you have to make sure you've got your reps saying to the General Assembly, yes, we approve this. And if they're not on board, the General Assembly, I gather, does not really look at it closely.
So if you look at the map, you can see they're sort of spread all over the place. We have some up in the north along the county line, some down on the south along the county line, and then some near Black Mountain, and then scattered throughout close to the city of Asheville. The big one, number 12, is the one in Emma I was talking about. That's the largest one. So the process, we're going to contact those property owners. We're going to post signs where it's appropriate. And run legal ads. We'll make a staff recommendation since there are so many of them, on a shortened version of our report. And then we'll schedule a public hearing for the planning board, and then it will go to the Board of Commissioners. So the first one is along the northern boundary of the property line. Of the county line. It's Donut Hole. We're calling it Donut Hole number 1. It's about 106 acres. It's current use, vacant residential, septic and well. We'll contact the applicants this month, and then we'll hold the public hearing in August or September. So we just wanted to update you on that. And again, contact those property owners and talk to them before we did those initial zonings. And again, these are areas that aren't zoned that we are trying to close the loop in that countywide zoning and actually have true countywide zoning.
Around 80% of the county is still up in use.
Uh,
It's the high 70s last time
Yeah.
I looked. Sorry.
And we would look at what the current zoning in the area is, like all up here. This is all open use with a protected ridge and steep slope high elevation overlay. So we would make similar recommendations to that. Whatever the current zoning is, and then whatever the land use, the growth equity and conservation map, our land use plan map indicates.
Sounds reasonable.
I'm going to stop sharing, and we're going to go to Shannon will start sharing.
Doesn't seem to be working though. What did I do wrong? Oh, I have to do it. Okay.
Just give it a second. There you go.
Okay, so I'm going to give you an update on what we are working on with the Swannanoa Small Area Plan. At the moment, we are just starting to head into our real public engagement phase. Staff's been working on a number of things that I'll go over in the next slide, but this is an overview of the timeline with us planning to end in August of 2026. So we started really talking about it in January of this year. Staff's been working on research, and that public kickoff officially began July 1st. So we're just beginning to go into that. We've got some polls that are going to be coming up that I'll tell you about. And then the different phases of engagement we'll go over. Does anybody have a question about the timeline though? So right now, staff's working on completing an existing conditions study. We're pulling a lot of census data, a lot of data out of GIS, looking at things like demographics, where housing is, where we've had growth over time. And then as part of that existing condition study, we'll be completing a hazard vulnerability assessment. So looking at things like the debris flow pathways, the floodplains, a lot of new data that we're getting out of FEMA, and then some of the Helene related data that we've gotten to do an assessment of what our future hazard risk might look like, so that when we get later into the process, we can make some recommendations of how to mitigate those risks or how to address them over time. At the moment, we are also finalizing contracts for land use planning assistance from Land of Sky Regional Council and the North Carolina Wildlife Commission, and I'll tell you a little bit more about those on the next slide. We are beginning to apply for technical assistance from the Environmental Protection Agency. They've got some planning consulting assistance that they can provide on specific kind of more small area within the larger small area plan boundaries. And then we are designing something called a SWOT analysis. So right now we're doing a poll asking what the boundaries of Swannanoa are, and we are about to move into kind of our big poll, our big first poll, which is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. We've also got some resilience questions baked in there, and we're hoping to have that new poll coming online this week. We've been attending some community engagement events out in the neighborhood, so things going on with the local groups, events happening, community markets, things like that, just to make people aware that this is coming up. And I've got some upcoming dates that we'll go over if anybody's interested in attending those. And then we've been working with some of our local organizations like Mountain True, Swannanoa Grassroots Alliance, Swannanoa Communities Together, trying to figure out where can we collaborate, what do those groups have going on that we can support or that we should know about as we really start moving into this process. So I mentioned that we are working with the North Carolina Wildlife Resource Commission, and we applied and were awarded a $10,000 grant and 80 hours, up to 80 hours of technical assistance. So this particular assistance in the grant is specifically for conservation-based land use planning. That's their focus, so wildlife and habitat. So it's going to be one part of our plan that we look at in terms of understanding existing conditions for wildlife and habitat, and then having specific recommendations as part of our conservation view and resilience planning as we go through the process. So they'll have a more specific focus compared to kind of the overall focus that we as the planning team are looking at. Are there any questions about that grant or the technical assistance from them? No. Okay. We are also working with Appalachian Design Center through Mountain True. That group is doing their own planning process. They are focusing on a community disaster recovery action plan. What that means is that whereas we are focusing on what the local government can work on for Swannanoa's small area plan, they're going out to the community and asking what the community and local community groups can do for themselves. So it will not give the local government direction. It will be more for the community and what kind of projects they can take on internally. But we have been working with them to have some joint public engagement meetings, some joint public polls and activities, and do some data and resource sharing. And our goal with that is to really try not to take too much out to the community and make it really confusing. We're trying to combine our efforts as much as possible so that we can work together and have fewer meetings, but be able to get as much input as possible from the same events, basically. Are there any questions about that?
In doing the public polls, how are you reaching out to the families and households that's been displaced?
That is a big question. Our CAPE team has been thinking about that a lot, and that is the department that's helping us figure out what agencies we need to talk to and what kind of meetings we need to go to. And the partnerships that we have with some of these local organizations, especially like Swannanoa Communities Together, those are going to be agencies that we really need to lean on to help us reach those groups because they are still in contact with people that have been displaced. We are going to be sending a letter by mail to the mailing address of every parcel in Swannanoa. So we hope we'll be able to reach some people that way, maybe that are having their mail forwarded. But really just working with those local groups that are still in contact and with our CAPE department is our primary means. So I had mentioned also Land of Sky Regional Council is the planning consultant that was selected. We had put out an RFQ process and they came in with a great subcontractor group of lots of local agencies that you all will probably be familiar with. Do you remember what that group was?
Fernleaf and Equinox were the local contractors, and for some reason I cannot ever remember they have on Land of Sky has on retainer a national firm that all they do is disaster and recovery work and recovery planning. So, and I can get you that name. I just for some reason cannot remember it.
Yeah. But they'll be working with us doing trauma-based community engagement work, looking at how our process is designed and giving us feedback to make sure that we are being sensitive to the community's needs and to their time. They're going to be reviewing our existing condition study and our hazard assessment to make sure we're using the best possible data and that we are including all of the information that we need. Then general assistance with just small area and resilience planning, and ultimately taking the data that we're getting from public input and helping us to create the options for the goals and policies and actions that will be in the plan. They are also going to help us with resilience and recovery actions because those are something that our team are not really familiar with. So they're going to be experts that we can reach out to when we get stuck or we need more information or better research.
Is there a particular person at Land of Sky that's your main contact there?
Mary Roderick.
So we are also getting ready to have a steering committee begin working on this process. We put out advertising to the community asking that residents apply for the steering committee, and that's something that will be giving us feedback and guidance throughout the planning process. That group will be doing deeper dives into some of the poll questions and into the research than what we're able to do with the public. So they're going to have a really active role in helping guide the process and the final deliverables of the plan document. We're going to be providing them information about the study area and asking them to give us the knowledge that they have from being residents there or from their experiences during Helene. And then reviewing the public input data that we've summarized for them as we move into plan drafting. So the plan right now is that the commissioners will be appointing the members on August 5th. So they have received the list of applicants. I think we got 45 applicants for 11 to 13 membership slots. And we did provide them staff's recommendation, kind of a short list of who we wanted them to interview. They are going to be adding some additional names to that interview list, but our goal was to really have a wide variety of people that have different knowledge areas. So maybe they have housing experience, maybe they are members of some of the local community groups. We were hoping for kind of a wide variety of living situations. So people in some of the manufactured home parks, single family homes, maybe multifamily, and then a variety of demographic age groups, things like that. So that is how we scored some of those applicants to make sure that we were getting lots of different opinions and backgrounds and experiences.
Are these residents only or property owners?
The preference is that they be residents of Swannanoa. I don't know that we even asked a question about ownership in our application.
I'm thinking, suppose there's an employer or someone like that
So we opened it up to residents and non-residents. For that case, you may be a business owner, but you don't live there. Or we had one person who applied who grew up in Swannanoa, but did not currently live in Swannanoa, but had lived there for like 25 years or something. So we did allow residents and non-residents, and then we left it. We're going to leave it up to the commissioners about who they want to appoint. So if you were a property owner, you were more than welcome to apply, even if you didn't live there.
When you say appointing, is it through an interview process or just?
Yes, so they do interview. I think they're interviewing the 5th. Yeah, they're interviewing right before the meeting, and then they will appoint. And I want to say they're interviewing like 20 people, 25 people. So.
Thank you.
So right now, we do have the boundary poll active, and that is a simple question asking people where they think the boundaries of Swannanoa are based on some existing maps. We've got the historic Swannanoa Township map. We have the Fire Service District map, the Swannanoa School District map, and then we have 2 of the census tract maps that are really similar to the township, but have slightly different boundaries. So just trying to get a sense of what areas people think need to be looked at and what areas they think are maybe not quite part of Swannanoa. And that's going to help us as we move into our visioning, figuring out where we need to direct future policies, or if there are some other areas that need to be included that maybe aren't technically in Swannanoa but are adjacent. Then this week, we'll be opening up a second poll, which is the SWOT analysis that I mentioned earlier. And we'll be taking that to a number of community meetings coming up in the next 2 weeks. We'll have a virtual option online, and lots of opportunities for people to talk about it with us and with other community groups. The resilience priorities are part of that SWOT analysis. So there are some resilience questions that are included, and we'll include some additional resilience questions as we move into our visioning exercise, which will be the next step after that is the vision statement. So you all might remember when we worked on the comprehensive plan, we had a number of vision themes. For the small area plans, what we're thinking about is having just a kind of a solid vision statement rather than a whole bunch of different vision themes, and trying to keep with the goals that we've adopted in the comprehensive plan. So continue to use those goals with all of our small area plans. Really, the policies and actions would be what would be specific to the Swannanoa plan, if that makes sense. Does anybody have questions about that? I can tell you a little bit about the design workshop as well. No. So when we get to December, we'll be moving into the design workshop for what is essentially a future land use map for Swannanoa. That's going to be similar to the growth, equity, and conservation map that's in the comprehensive plan. And we'll be asking people to think about the area in terms of where housing goes, what the transportation looks like, all sorts of different land use questions. And that will be an opportunity for us to work more closely with Mountain True and some of their recovery action goals that they have. And the planning board will be asking you all to do kind of deeper dives into all of those different engagement activities, similar to what the steering committee will be doing. So we'll be bringing you those activities and talking to you about them in here. And you'll also be welcome to come to the events if you would like. Any questions on that? So these are some of the upcoming events that are currently scheduled. We are going to continue into August with our SWOT analysis. So there'll be a lot more events on this list for mid to late August. But right now we've got a couple coming up this week. And we are not hosting these meetings. This is us tacking on to existing community meetings or having pop-up events. For example, we're going to have Pizza with a Planner at Good Company tomorrow. People can just stop in, they can get a slice of pizza, they can sit down and talk to us, or just pick up one of the polls, ask some questions if they'd like, kind of casual communication or conversations with us. Some of the events will be just handing out information at the community markets. Some of them will have time for a short presentation while people are waiting to get services. So we're just finding, different ways that we can have information tables and give people options to come speak with us for a short amount of time, or if they want to have deeper conversations, there'll be some options for that too. Does anybody have questions about the upcoming events? Okay. And that is it for Swannanoa. Are there any overall questions about the planning process?
So just to let you know, we, like Shannon said, when the steering committee is working on something, we're going to try to have a way for you to provide input as the planning board while they're working on it. So the first thing will be the SWOT analysis. And we are going to try to utilize our public input with our committees this time to try to get that input. So sometime in August, we're going to send you a link to a very long SWOT analysis separated out by the different topic areas. And we are going to request that you do a little homework for us and complete those surveys when we send them to you, because then when we bring it back to the steering committee, we'll have your input along with their input, sort of building on whatever the community says. So we're just trying to make this process as efficient as possible and make sure that we are getting everyone's input as effectively as possible. So homework coming your way. I'm sorry.
Sounds reasonable. And this is going to be done after Swannanoa and other small areas as well.
Mhm.
Same process.
Yes.
Looks good.
And that is it. That's all we have for you today.
Oh,
It
okay.
was just an update meeting.
Well, that was worth listening to. So if there's nothing else.
I have a question.
Sure.
And this, I guess, is directed to our county attorney. The minutes is the formal transcript of what occurs in the meetings. Is that correct?
I don't know if I would say it is a transcript per
Okay,
se.
well-
I think it is an overview of what happened at the minutes. Our minutes are not verbatim. And we
I think where I'm going with it is, we know in rezonings that, and I think it may be a state requirement, that we make it after reviewing the comprehensive plan and that it meets those.
Right, that
requirements.
either it complies or doesn't
I
comply.
think in the minutes that the motion should at least state the fact that the comprehensive plan was looked at, because if someone wanted to challenge a zoning and they went to our minutes, there's nothing there to show that we followed that requirement.
I think that's a great point, and I think that we as staff can make sure that we do that, but we also have in the official approval, whatever you all approve a rezoning, that statement is in sort of the order,
The resolution.
the resolution or whatever it is. It used to be, I'd say maybe 5 or 10 years ago, you would have to have two separate votes where you would have a vote on whether it complies with the comprehensive plan, and then you would vote on approving or not the rezoning. With the adoption of Chapter 160D, they now allow you to do both at the same time, and it's not, the comprehensive plan thing is not as rigorous as it was previously. So I
I
think
just
it's,
wanted to make sure we got our bases
no,
covered.
it is,
because
but I do
That
want,
was always a big deal. I mean, every time Asheville planning and zoning, it was a big deal, and I assume it is, so.
I agree. I think it's a great point, but I do want to assure you that it is in it, the resolution and everything that we passed.
Yeah, that's actually improved significantly, even since the time I've been on here because of 160D. I mean, it's kind of written into the law now that, I mean, you can't do something if it's not in keeping with your comprehensive plan. So, but no, especially in terms of the public and how they do things, I think you've made a very salient point.
If I can add in, and this is not to suggest that you need a process change, but in Woodfin, when a motion is made on land use, I'm not sure if Ricky just doesn't trust us, but he always suggests language for, here's the suggested motion. And it always references Woodfin's comprehensive plan and that it complies with this and that and everything.
So we do that for the Board of
Board
Commissioners, as we have suggested language up on their PowerPoints, and we can start doing that for you guys too.
That would be good.
It's a little extra work, but it would certainly cover the base that Carl is mentioning.
No, that is a small thing to avoid a much larger problem down the road. So no, that's great. And we'll definitely take a look at it.
Well, and it's hard to remember everything that you need to say when you're making those motions too. So that would be helpful.
Move to adjourn?
Second,
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned.